Okay, in this video we're going to talk about ElizaOS plugins and plugin development. So I'm going to show you how plugins can transform your AI agent from a basic chatbot into a specialized, powerful agent. We're going to explore what plugins are, how they work, and I'll show you a real example of a plugin I've built for a project I'm working on, so you'll be able to see the process for how to build your own custom plugins and then how to integrate that into your main project where your agents live. We'll also talk about some of the internal plugins that exist in ElizaOS, so those are the plugins that come out of the box, how they work and why they're so important to multi-agent systems on ElizaOS. Okay, so what are ElizaOS plugins? Well, as you can see here, a regular AI agent has access to chat functionality, basic responses, and some sort of memory. Plugins allow you to extend the capabilities of what is a regular AI agent. So think of a plugin as a superpower for your AI agent. So instead of just chatting, your agent can perform a range of different tasks like sending emails, scheduling meetings, analyzing data, browsing the web. Anything you can code, you can turn into a custom plugin and then integrate that into your project so your agents can call on those actions and complete whatever task you want it to via a plugin. Let's again have a look at the ElizaOS agent runtime, so the core architecture on ElizaOS. First we have character definition, so this is where we assign the personality, the system prompt and the general capabilities of how your agent will operate. We then have the core memory system that's built in to ElizaOS. And then we have the plugin system, so that's what we'll talk through today. The plugin system includes four main areas: services, actions, providers, and evaluators. We'll go through each one of those in detail. Then we have external integrations, so APIs, blockchains, or databases. We can see here ElizaOS plugins follow a modular architecture with those four main components I just mentioned. So services, those are the background processes and stateful connections. So think of things like price monitoring, database connections, API clients, all of those things are services. So let's say you have the Discord plugin where your agent is available for users to chat with. A service would be the connection to that Discord server, so your bot is online and monitoring the chat to wait for messages to respond to. That's an example of a service. Then we have actions. That's what your agent can do in response to user commands. So think of anything a user can say: send an email, check the weather, whatever question a user asks. Your agent can then use actions to respond in a particular way or execute a specific task. Then we have providers. So providers supply context for your agent. So that context is used by the agents before it responds. So think of things like historical context of user conversations, preferences or customer profiles that it has stored, recent market data or things like time. Those are the contextual information that your agent has access to that can help it create better responses. Finally, we have evaluators. Those are the post-process responses for insights. So this is after the response has been generated and sent to the user. The evaluators then kick in and help for sentiment analysis, follow-up suggestions, any follow-up actions based on the evaluation, and a learning mechanism. So this is where the agents can review their response or their conversation and then learn from those results and engagements and then improve over time. Okay, so now we can take a look at the plugin lifecycle. And for this video, the example I'm going to show you is a plugin I've built for a whale wallet tracker project I'm working on. The first plugin I've built is a whale scout. So what that does is essentially acts as a service where users can input a wallet address, and this plugin will scout that wallet, assess it over a number of criteria, and return a response that analyzes whether this wallet is a whale that is worth tracking or not. So we can see here the 7-step process that executes when the plugin is called on. So step 1, we can see here the user sends a message, so they might say scout wallet ABC123. That would trigger the services, so the Discord stateful connection would capture that message and understand that that is a whale analysis request. Step 3 would then be the providers, so the providers would gather the recent whale analysis history and the user context from past conversations. Step 4, actions then validate, so that will check if the message contains a valid wallet address. So again, the providers in step 3 is gathering context. Step 4 is now validating the message to make sure it's a valid wallet address and a valid request. Step 5 then executes, which is the actions. So that is the LLM will generate the response and analyze the wallet using the service connections. Step 6, the user then receives the formatted whale analysis report. So that's when the agent sends the response back to the user. That completes the user input and response part, and then evaluators then run in step 7. So this is to generate some insights, learn from the engagement so that it can improve over time. So that's an example workflow of how the plugin executes. And we can see again that the 4 main components that are involved in this workflow are the services, providers, actions, and evaluators. So now let me show you a bit more detail about this plugin that we've built, so the Whale Scout plugin. So again, the purpose of this is to transform any ElizaOS agent into a crypto whale analyzer that can analyze Solana wallets for whale characteristics, calculate multi-dimensional scores based on the analysis, provide investment recommendations and whether it's worth tracking or not, and track whale movements over time. So you can see here, this is how our project directory looks. We're currently in the BAMU tools directory, which is our main project. We've then got the character file and index.ts in our source directory. So that is, the character file is the agent configuration, the index file is the project entry point. We've then got the plugin Whale Scout, which is a separate project. That's which I'll show you shortly. We'll get that project directory up and have a look. That plugin directory has another source folder with index.ts for the plugin. That's the plugin export. And then it's got actions and services. So the actions are the whale analysis commands, and the services that we've built in that plugin directory is the blockchain integration. So it's a separate project, but as we'll show you in the BAMU tools character file and index file, we are calling on the plugin to be imported when the character file is configured and run at runtime, and that's how it is then able to access and execute those actions from the plugin itself. So here's a snippet from the character file that shows how the plugin integration works. So we can see here the name of this character agent is BAMU. The description is an AI agent with whale scouting capabilities. And then we can see the plugins that are imported at runtime. The Bootstrap plugin and the Solana plugin and the SQL plugin. These are core plugins that are available out of the box via ElizaOS. We can see that is depicted via this @ElizaOS prefix. We've then got our custom plugin here, plugin Whale Scout, which we also call on. Calling on that plugin within this character configuration file allows that agent to then access the actions and services available via that plugin, and we'll see when we run the agent in dev mode shortly that it would now be able to execute whale wallet analysis because it has access to this plugin in the character file. So notice the Bootstrap plugin at the top. This is essential for every agent. So that's the core message handling and event management capabilities that other plugins rely on, and that's available, as I said, out of the box when you start an ElizaOS project. So think of that as the foundation that enables all agent communication. So anytime you are building an agent on ElizaOS, make sure that the Bootstrap plugin is included in the plugin section here of every character file that you build. So Bootstrap automatically provides context before every response, so current time, conversation history, relevant memories. It also evaluates every interaction to form memories and track relationships. So again, it's a really important plugin that we need for every agent. Without the Bootstrap plugin, you'd have to manually manage all of this in every plugin and have separate contexts and memory setups for every plugin that you build. So that allows you to eliminate a lot of that coding work that you would need to do otherwise. We can then just build plugins in a more lean way because the Bootstrap plugin is providing a lot of that capability out of the box. Okay, I've now jumped over to the Eliza docs. I'm just going to show you the documentation on the plugin development. So you can see here under guides, plugin developer guide. So if you want to read through the full documentation, you can go to eliza.how and find this plugin developer guide. When you do use the CLI command to create a new plugin, you can see here the command to use is ElizaOS create, the name of your plugin, and then the type flag, and then plugin to confirm that what you are building is a plugin. The reason you need to define it as a plugin using this CLI command is because the structure of the project that is created is different to a standard ElizaOS project. As you can see here, you've also then got two options to choose from when you create a plugin. Option 1 is a quick plugin, so that includes the backend only, so it's a simple backend only plugin without the front end integrations. The full plugin also includes the front end, so if you want to do a complete plugin with a React front end for things like web UI, dashboards, or visual components that are needed, that's where you would choose the full plugin. And then once you've gone through that process, it'll create your new plugin project, and as you can see here, it will prefix the name of your plugin with plugin, so you don't need to include plugin in the name of whatever you create. That will be automatically added at the start of the project name. With a basic plugin, you get actions, providers, and types, as well as the index file. The full plugin includes those sections as well as front-end React files, including things that you would need to build an app or a dashboard or any UI components. So now we'll jump back over to Cursor. Okay, so we're back in Cursor now. We're in the plugin Whale Scout directory. So this is our Whale Wallet Analyzer tool. I've built this project using the ElizaOS CLI commands we just went through in the documentation to create a new plugin project. As you can see here on the left hand side, we're in source actions, and then we've got the Whale Scout action here. And this file is where the entire plugin is defined and how it works when somebody engages with this plugin by asking to analyze a wallet address. We can see here that this just defines how the action works. We can see there's assessments that are created based on the analysis. We've got 4 main components that are judged when a wallet address is analyzed: activity, value, behavior, and risk. And then the rest of this file here just defines how the analysis should take place. The analyze wallet action is the action that's executed when someone asks the agent to analyze a wallet. So this is the plugin. This is where it's defined. We're only using actions here in this plugin. Now what we'll do is jump back over to the Bamu Tools directory. I'll show you how it's imported there and how it works when we run Bamu Tools in dev mode. Okay, so now we're back in the Bamu Tools project directory. So this is our main project where our agent is defined. So this is again separate to our plugin project directory that we just walked through. Now I'm going to show you how we are importing and calling on that plugin within our main project, which is this one here. So the 2 files that are involved here are the character.ts file and package.json. So first of all, in the character.ts file, this is our Bamu agent. You can see in our plugins array here, this is where we're defining all of the plugins that need to be loaded at runtime. We can see plugin Whale Scout is defined here as one of the plugins. If we scroll down further here, we'll also see the Bootstrap plugin that we talked about earlier, so that one's loaded as well. Then if we jump over to package.json, we can see in dependencies we've also got plugin Whale Scout, and we've got the path here as the local path where it's stored. So plugin Whale Scout is the directory path, so we're calling it locally. It's stored and saved locally on our machine, so we're able to call it for this purpose here. So when we run run build, that's going to load all of these dependencies. So for the plugin here, it's going to load what it needs to via that path that we've defined here. So when we run the agent, we now have access to the Whale Scout plugin as we've defined it here in the plugins section in the character file. We'll run ElizaOS start. This will start our agent. So we can see it's now building the project. We can see plugin migrations completed, so it's loaded successfully. We'll now open localhost. We'll start a new chat. And we will ask it to analyze a random wallet address here. And we'll go back to Cursor after this, and I'll just show you the back end and how that's working. You'll be able to see that the analyze wallet action has been triggered. So we can see it's replied here. I'll start analyzing the wallet for whale status right away, hang tight, and we can see it's now analyzing the wallet. So saying this may take a moment while I gather data from the blockchain, so we'll wait for it to complete the analysis and it should then respond. Okay, so we can see that it's completed its analysis. It's now sending the response. If we scroll back to the top, it says it's not qualified for tracking. It's given it an overall score of 8 out of 10. Activity 5 out of 10, value 10 out of 10, behavior 8 out of 10, risks 2 out of 10. It's then given a breakdown of why it's assigned each score. So we can see here, activity 500 transactions, no swaps though. It's got the value, behavior, so it's the Radium Treasury wallet, which is why it's recommended not to track it. And then it's got holdings, and then strengths, high portfolio value, risk flags, not suitable for trading. It's a treasury wallet. So it's performed its analysis, and we'll just jump over to Cursor now and I'll show you the logs, which show that it's successfully called the Whale Scout plugin and used that analyze wallet action to perform the analysis and create this output. So we can see at the top of the logs here, it has received the message that I've sent. It's then created metadata for that message. We can see raw message, content, and the metadata here. So that message is now a part of the memory and can be used as context moving forward. We can then see that the next step is action validation. So it says here, received message from central bus, and then published message with the metadata, and then we can see that's then validated the action and triggered the start Whale Scout analysis. We can see then that has started the plugin, the Whale Scout plugin to execute. We can see if we go down further, the response has been analyzing wallet. This may take a moment while I gather data from the blockchain, so it's responded to the initial message. We can then see starting whale qualification for the address as listed here, and we can see then the steps it's going through to complete that action, so getting wallet data, using direct RPC for external wallet, fetching blockchain data, getting SOL balance. We can then see it's publishing another message. It's then continuing to fetch the token prices as part of its analysis to assess how much the portfolio value is for the wallet. So we can see here it's even calling the Jupiter strict list, so the token list from the API, to assign the raw contract addresses to a token and get a live price. We can see here it's processed all tokens with non-zero balances, 2,470 total in that wallet. It's identified it as the Radium Treasury wallet. We can see here the CoinGecko price API failed, but it falls back to the Jupiter price API. It's then retrieved the blockchain data and generated a response for the message, preparing to send back to bus, completed whale qualification, and then assigned it as not qualified. And then it sends the output for the response, which includes the full Whale Scout analysis. So we can see here that that initial reception of that message triggered the first step, which was the service to recognize that there is a message that's been sent. It was then validated by seeing that the content of our message was analyze this wallet. That triggers the Whale Scout plugin to then kick in and activate, and then it went through all of those steps to then complete that task. So that's how this plugin is working in real time in our project. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of how powerful plugins are. So as you can see here, we've built a specific plugin for that Whale Scout task, and then we've set up the imports within our main project here in Bamboo Tools, and now our agent within this project has the ability to now analyze wallets and return a really in-depth analysis of each wallet and qualify it as whether it is a whale that's worth tracking or not. So one specific task we've built a custom plugin for. So whatever projects you're working on, whatever you're trying to build, there's probably a way that you can extend capabilities or implement functionality using custom plugins, and tools like Claude Code and Cursor with ChatGPT 5 is a really powerful tools to be able to help you quickly build and iterate plugins just like this one. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Before I end the video, if you do want to stay up to date with future templates and tutorials, head to snapperai.io where you can opt in for the newsletter. I'll send updates when I publish new videos and release new templates. There are already some ElizaOS character creation templates available I might release some other ones in the future around some of the other features on ElizaOS, so that's where you can go to subscribe if you want to. Thanks for watching.